Guys, welcome back to our YouTube channel. Today I want to be covering altcoins. So we have seen in the last couple of weeks a very nice bounce on altcoins. However, I believe that some caution is to be exercised here, and I'm going to lay out the case as to why you need to be a little bit cautious holding for too long here, and why you might be expecting a pullback on altcoins. And when altcoins pull back, they pull back generally 30-40%. That is a common pullback amongst altcoins. So if you cannot handle that volatility, continue watching this video, because you want to be cautious here. You want to avoid using leverage. So I want to get right into the charts as to why it's all lining up that a major pullback is on the cards here. So let's get into the charts and let's see what's going on. All right, so first, news dropped on Friday. Moody's downgrades United States credit rating, citing growth in government debt. Okay, so big news after market came out. The market ES futures did come down quite heavily towards the end of the trading session after hours. So big news, big news. Now I wanted to go back historically to historical periods where US debt has been downgraded before. Okay, and that's happened 2 times before in history. Okay, so for the first one was the 5th of August 2011 by another agency, and the other one was the 1st of August 2023. A bit of a coincidence that they both happened in August, but they did. Okay, so the first downgrade, what happened? S&P 500. So we did move down. From that news. So we could say we moved down 12% from the day of. So the day of the announcement, we moved down overall 10%, but we were already in a bearish, we started moving down already. That and just added some more fuel. We did get consolidation and moved down. So you could say that this one didn't have a material effect on the price. Even though we did get a 12% move, we got a rally back up after that event. Okay, so this initial day didn't cause that much volatility. The move down after that was around, that was actually quite a big move. So it was 8% the next day. 8% the next day. So it did cause some turbulence in the stock market. However, we did recover to make new highs. Okay, so that was the first one, and let's look at the second one. This one is more interesting to me, right? So we got the news, we gapped down. Okay, after that we gapped down and it put in a larger correction, right? So since that news, we put in 10.3% correction on the SPX after that. So this one did cause quite a lot of turbulence here on an uptrend or an uptrending move. So we wasn't going in a down, we wasn't already down. Okay, so we were actually moving higher, and then that news came out and we started rotating towards the downside, and a 10% correction came after that, and that was quite similar to what we see here. Okay, that was quite similar. We actually got from the high, that was the actual bear market bottom, so we actually got just over the 79%. Okay, and now you can see we are above the 79%. on the S&P 500, way above it. Okay, so as you can see, the S&P 500 has had a major rally. I did expect a pullback here, but we have continued to rally higher. So that's another reason why I think a pullback is due here on the S&P 500. Just because we are getting extended. Okay, we are getting extended, and a pullback is likely on the cards. Okay, a pullback is likely on the cards in my opinion. So we need to watch very carefully on how much this pulls back. Okay, do we close this gap and move higher, or do we come down to this gap? Okay, and that would be a larger move to the downside. Okay, so if you measure that move, that would represent a 10% correction. Okay, a 10% move down. That corresponds with some of the similar sort of move we had here and the prior one. Okay, so this one was 10%, the other one was around 8-9%. So 8-9% would put us down to this gap fill. Okay, so it's going to be interesting to see how we open on Monday, tomorrow. It's going to be interesting to see how futures open. That's going to tell us a lot whether the market again doesn't like this news and we correct. And my thinking is we do correct. We do correct at least to this gap fill, in my opinion. Okay, if the market doesn't like the news, it's possible we can go down and fill this one. Okay, and that would be a very good buying opportunity for people who who missed this rally, and maybe you could ride it back to all-time highs. I think that would be a very good opportunity if you missed out. So I'll be waiting for that. If you are still on the sidelines waiting, wait for this gap fill, maybe buy some here, not financial advice. And if we come lower, then you can buy your next lot over here. All right, so that's what I would be anticipating. I do think this move is getting a little bit extended here, and I do think a pullback is due. Okay, now if we look at Bitcoin, Bitcoin also looks like it wants to correct. Okay, it's failing to push past this level. All right, which is the the edge of this this node here. All right, it's the edge of this node, and it's failing. It's failed on multiple occasions to try and get past it and potentially blow through the all-time highs. So I would be under the assumption that Bitcoin is gonna put in a correction here. Okay, another reason why is 1, 2, 3, 4, 5 waves up, and I believe an ABC correction is on the cards here for Bitcoin. Okay, I do believe an ABC correction is on the cards. Now, if we do get correction, I do want to see this node here hold. All right, the edge of this node corresponds with the 382 and the 0.45. Also, the anchored VWAP here, okay, is gonna start lining up with these two fibs, and this is what I call bullish continuation Fibonacci levels. Okay, I'd want to see this hold. If this does not hold and we come down here, I think we're going lower. Okay, I do think we're going lower, but if this holds, then the bull market is still intact and we have an opportunity to move past all-time highs. But this will be pivotal in my opinion. If we don't hold this level, okay, it's going to be very crucial. But you can imagine, right? You can imagine all the stop losses under these lows. Okay, if it comes down, takes all the stop losses, one would expect this to start pushing higher after sweeping a lot of stops under these lows, right? But if it doesn't happen, or we just get a smaller bounce back up and a move back down, that is danger. That is going to be massive danger on Bitcoin and especially altcoins. Now let's talk about altcoins. Okay, let's talk about altcoins. altcoin market is the total 3 market. Okay, a lot of people that get into crypto or watch crypto videos, they're invested in major altcoins. Okay, they're invested in altcoins, guys. A lot of people don't hold Bitcoin. Bitcoin is held by, nowadays especially, are held by institutions. They're held by government entities. They are held by whales. Retail hold altcoins, right? So a lot of people are praying and hoping that we get alt season. Now, first of all, I want to talk about total 3. Okay, this is everything excluding the top 100 crypto coins, excluding Bitcoin and Ethereum. Now, if we measure this move from the bear market low to the high, we have around a 300% move to the upside. If you measure Bitcoin from bottom to low, let's remove this. Okay, you measure Bitcoin performance, is over 600%. So it's double altcoin performance. So if you bought altcoins instead of Bitcoin, you have underperformed Bitcoin, right? You have underperformed Bitcoin massively. So you would have been much better off. You would have got a 600% return instead of a 300% return just by holding the safer asset, right? And that cannot be right because you are holding much riskier stuff. So for holding riskier stuff, you expect to be rewarded much greater. Okay, your reward should be much greater. If you're holding a less riskier asset, you expect less returns. That's the whole point of investing. Okay, when you invest in higher risk stuff, you expect higher rewards. That's not happened so far in this cycle. Okay, that has not happened. Now, if we look at the all Bitcoin pairs against Bitcoin, you can see, okay, they have been in a downtrend against Bitcoin since May of 2021. And there is no signs of this trend reversing right here. Okay, there's no sign of it reversing. Has it bottomed? I don't know. I do think there's going to be a sweep of these lows. Okay, I do think it's going to sweep them, and then maybe you get the move. Okay, then maybe you get the move. Just like we had down here, we swept it and we got alt season, right? You can see here, we swept it and we got alt season. How far down this comes is anybody's guess. Okay, I've seen videos saying it's going to come back to 2.5. It doesn't have to. Okay, it doesn't have to. It can just sweep and reverse, right? And we get alt season. It's a possibility. But again, it all depends on Bitcoin. Okay, if Bitcoin makes a new high, then the possibility of alt season is very high at that point. Okay, if it doesn't and it goes into a prolonged period of sideways or downward price action, at that point I don't think we're going to get alt season. Now, if we look at Bitcoin dominance, we've had a fall in Bitcoin dominance, but nothing major. Okay, structurally this is still intact. Okay, until, in my opinion, you come and break this low of 55%. Okay, you break this, then you come down and you've got alt season. Okay, you don't break this, you're still, for me, easily do that. Okay, so no alt season until at least you come down here. Okay, 58%. Maybe not as far as this pivots, but you want to see a lower high and then a collapse down if you're going to get alt season. All right, but this right now looks bullish again. I wouldn't be surprised to see this start trading towards 67-68% once again. Okay, I do not expect, especially if Bitcoin corrects into that 382 that I was talking about. Okay, if Bitcoin corrects, I expect altcoins against Bitcoin to start bleeding out again, and dominance to start climbing towards that 67% mark, 66-67% mark. Okay, so that's where I stand with altcoins. ETH BTC is very, very, very crucial. Okay, you can see we've got a massive bounce on ETH BTC. If this continues to go higher, you get alt season. Okay, you will see Bitcoin dominance fall off a cliff, and this will kickstart alt season. If we don't, if this starts coming down, maybe makes a double bottom, you're going to see a lot of altcoins against their Bitcoin pairs really, really collapse. Okay, really, really collapse. Whether that holds, okay, and then you get alt season, or it comes down. If it comes down, I don't think you're very unlikely to see alt season at that point if it starts coming down. Okay, we're hoping that this is the bottom on ETH BTC. We're hoping that this is the bottom, right? Now, let's have a look at some of these altcoins. All right, for example, Pepe. Pepe has had a massive bounce. Okay, massive bounce, almost a 200% bounce off the lows. Okay, so we need to start paying attention to some of these altcoins, right? Because obviously some of you have missed this. Now you want to get in. You get in here, and we just do this. Okay, you're wrecked, right? Especially if you're trading on leverage. I wouldn't recommend you trading on leverage unless you're a very experienced trader. You want to be putting your stop losses under these lows, okay, and protecting yourself, because these altcoins are very, very, very volatile, guys. Okay, you want to be very, very careful. Now, if we see Bitcoin start correcting, you're going to get a massive move down. Okay, if Bitcoin corrects to the 382 that we talked about, okay, so if Bitcoin gets this move, let's have a look. So if Bitcoin gets this move down to around $93,000 to $92,000 level, you are going to see a massive move down. Okay, massive move down on Pepe and coins of basically any altcoin at that stage. So 30-40% corrections is very, very, very normal. Okay, on a coin like this. Now, let's have a look at something like Dogecoin. Okay, you'll see I've got some boxes drawn here. You see I've got some boxes, and you'll be asking me, what are these? What are these boxes that you have drawn here? So these boxes are potential scenarios that I'm expecting. Okay, we have broken this downtrend on Dogecoin, and we've got a bounce. Is this bounce into a lower high? So if Bitcoin, okay, if Bitcoin goes to the 382, I expect Dogecoin around 17 to 16 cents again. Okay, and if Bitcoin then pumps to the upside, okay, so it breaks and it continues in a bull market and it goes to new all-time highs, I expect Dogecoin to get the rally just like it did here. Okay, so if Bitcoin is still bullish and puts in a new high, I expect this rally on Dogecoin. However, if Bitcoin fails to hold that 382 and starts trending down, okay, and we can confirm that it's the start of a bear market, then my first targets for Dogecoin in a bear market would be this red box here, and that is from this Fibonacci. Okay, that is from this fib level. So this fib measures top, bottom, top, and that's what we get. Okay, that's what we get. The 114, sorry, this one. Okay, so if we have this, okay, so it's this measured move, the 1-to-1 measured move, 1.1-to-1, 1114, so it'll take you down to 0.06 to 114. Okay, and that corresponds with all this support down here. So I would expect something like Dogecoin to get down there. Depending on the severity of the correction, if Bitcoin gets down into the $35,000-$40,000 region, then one can expect Dogecoin to take out these lows and start trading towards 0.02 cents. That is very, very deep. Okay, very, very deep. But yeah, I wouldn't be surprised to see it if Bitcoin gets down into the $30,000 levels. Okay, so it will depend on the severity of the bear market. So you can see we are at a crossroad here, right? Very, very important crossroad. So are we going to be bullish or are we going to be bearish? I don't think we're going to be waiting for much longer to get our answer. Okay, so the point is, if Bitcoin breaks all-time highs, okay, I expect this move. Okay, if we get alt season, you'll get a retracement. If you get alt season, you're going to get this type of move. Okay, just like we saw here. Right, that's what I'm expecting. If you get alt season, you get this leg. If you get Bitcoin pointing in a new high, you'll probably get Dogecoin to get you this move around 90 cents, 80 cents level, just wicking above the prior all-time highs, wicking above, and then bear market. Okay, so it depends on how high Bitcoin goes, on whether we see ETH BTC start rallying. Okay, ETH against BTC starts rallying, then we get this next part, which is the alt season. This is when you'll see Bitcoin dominance just just do this. So this is the initial move you'll see. Okay, something like this. This will be that initial Dogecoin pump. This one. Okay, this one, the first leg. If you get alt season, you'll see that. Okay, that's what you're gonna see. I don't expect Bitcoin dominance to come all the way down to these levels. I probably expect it to come down to around 40, 49, 50%. Okay, and that should be good enough for an alt season. Okay, that should be good enough for an alt season. So this is the leg you'll get next on Bitcoin dominance. If you see ETH BTC really rallying, and you get this leg on Dogecoin, so around $2, $2.50. Okay, that will be super, super nice and super, super bullish for us all. But right now, this is a little bit of a no man's land. Okay, if Bitcoin doesn't pull back, okay, if Bitcoin doesn't pull back from here and just starts flying towards the all-time highs, then one would expect Dogecoin to start trading a lot higher as well. Okay, if it starts moving past all-time highs Bitcoin, then you could expect pretty much not many pullbacks. Okay, and you can get into this green box. All right, so right now, I think if you didn't buy here, this is probably not the place to buy, in my opinion. It's pretty much no man's land. I wouldn't be a buyer of altcoins at this point right now, especially with the Moody's downgrade and so much uncertainty right now in regards to what's going to happen. I'd let the market calm down and show its hand before I take the next move. Okay. So if we get a pullback, remember, it's most likely going to come down to 16, 17 cents, something like Dogecoin. Okay, alongside other altcoins as well, something like Sui, which has had a massive pump. All right, so if we get 382 move, you can expect around 270, 280 on Sui. That doesn't hold. If Bitcoin holds, the 382, then you can expect new all-time highs. If it doesn't, then it's good night and it's a bear market. All right, that will be your crossroads. That will be it's going to take a lot of guts to invest if you haven't already got in from these lows. If you get this pullback, and that will take a brave man. That will take a brave man to invest. But obviously, that's where most of the money is made. Now, if you want access to any of these alerts, what I'm buying, what I'm looking at, if you enjoyed any of this analysis, give my video a thumbs up, give me a like, give me a subscribe, hit share my videos. I hope you got some useful stuff from it, but I would exercise caution here. I would, I'd be telling every single person, just be very, very careful investing here right now. It's a pretty dangerous spot to invest, in my opinion, not financial advice. If you're confident that we're going to go for all-time highs, then just wait for a pullback and get in. However, if not, then just stay out the market. Maybe, you look for some short positions and stuff like that. All right. Anyways, guys, I wanted to cover altcoins because altcoins are starting to look very juicy here. And if we do see a pullback, I will be looking to entertain that pullback. All right. I will be looking to entertain that pullback. And if you want access to those alerts, link is in the description. Absolutely free to come and join our Discord. Doesn't cost you a single penny. Anyways, guys, thank you for watching. Stay safe. Bye.